action. We still got a couple minutes left of warm-up that we're looking at here, and then we'll have a pace lap. So plenty of time to get over there, grab some snacks, grab some water, because this is going to be an absolutely fantastic race. And if you are joining us now on the Road Atlanta stream link, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sticking around, watching us live here. We are going to be bringing you live coverage of the race. Green flag set to go here in about 5 minutes. Wyatt Burton sitting on pole, and we should have the rest of the starting lineup for you here momentarily. And here it is. So for the first time this season on a road course, it is Wyatt Burton from Trine University. He'll roll off alongside Muhammad Alif from Ball State. Rolling off in third, it's Lucas Moody, also from Ball State. He starts alongside his teammate, Cale Davidson. Starting in P5, it's Jake Cummings from Converse, alongside Ryan Whitlock from the University of Alabama in Huntsville. Starting P7 from Ball State, Dylan Beatty in the 20 car, alongside current alumni points leader Clint Halterman from UNC Charlotte. Starting 9th, Adam Willoughby from Clemson University, alongside Keegan Kallick from St. Clair, rounding out your top 10. Marlo, take the next 10.
Starting 11th, we have Thomas Crump from Clemson. Starting 12th, we have Drew Williams, also from Clemson. 13th, we got Ricky Paz from East Carolina University, our series director. Andrew Burrell starts 14th, also from Clemson. Jason Wallett's going to start 15th. Nicholas Stockner starts 16th from Clemson. Joshua Staley from New England College starts 17th. Esteban Munoz starts 18th from Florida International. Nick Henley from Ball State, not a great qualifying from Ball. 20th is Jacob Dick from Ball State. Why don't you take us for the next few, Jackson?
I got it. Adrian Tubavoke and Aiken Lamar getting us in 21st and 22nd here for Broward Community College in St. Clair. Another St. Clair behind. Grant Schiller in the 45 will roll off 23rd. Then it's Joseph Grijavala in 24th for Purdue. Boilermaker in the 47. After that, Andrew Voigt for Penn State University alongside Carson Wohlers for Paul Smith's College. That's 26th. Zohaira Mirza for St. Clair. Another St. Clair car back here in 27th alongside Plains. Garrett Greathouse in 28th. Watch the purple car. Connor Bingle for University of Alabama in Huntsville starts 29th. Cato Corbin, the number 8, will be running in 30th. Bring us home here, Cade.
Yeah, Caden Hughes, unfortunately, did not make the field. I will not be racing tonight. I'm up here in the booth. Unfortunately, that's a little bit of a glitch, so sorry about that. Caden Hughes did not make that 105% time, so for Bruton Parker College, he will not be racing. Right here, we are about to go green as they come out of turn number 12. It is Wyatt Burton alongside Muhammad Alif. The green flag waves, and we are green flag racing at Road Atlanta.
Already some shuffling. You can almost see some guys going 3 wide here as Burton leads. Alif tries the over-under as they work their way into the S's. Relatively clean opening set of corners here.
Muhammad Alif able to get to an early lead, but Wyatt Burton is not going to be the driver to let him go here as they're going to head down through the S's and onto the back straightaway. Looks like everybody is able to get over those bumps pretty cleanly. I don't see any wrecks as they come out of turn 5, very dangerous area, now into turn 6.
Wiley on the hard charge forward here. You got a couple cars further back. Ricky Paz and Drew Williams getting into it. Then Crump trying to make a move. 2x2 working down the back straightaway. And Adam will be absolutely under attack. Then you've got Thomas Crump 2x2 all the way down the backstretch here, Cade.
And it looks like, a moment there. Yes, are they going to go 3 wide into the chicane? I would not recommend that. And they are going to get it sorted out. Back to 2 wide. And they are going to survive momentarily.
Looking for the inside there down the hill on Dylan Beatty. Already getting spicy here as we cross the stripe for the first time. Clint Halterman looking for a way on the inside to get by Thomas Crump. Can't get it done, though, and holds on to ninth. Now tries the over-under into the S's.
I mean, this is just absolute pure IndyCar right here. You're seeing people doing over-unders, sending dive bombs. Love to see it.
I mean, Marlo, we talk about, obviously, you can't win a race on the first lap, but you can absolutely make yourself look like a idiot on the first lap. But this is your best time to make up, any lost positions in qualifying, as we're watching Nick Stockner try and get a move on. He'll be under attack now from Joshua Staley further back, but this is really your prime attack to charge forward, your prime opportunity to charge forward.
Yeah, definitely. You want to get those positions in those first couple laps, but you can also, as you said, end up with a minefield of wrecked race cars.
As we're going to go 3 wide here. Oh, Andrew Burl, that is Nick Stockner that has gone around. There were a couple of Clemson cars involved. And that is Nick Stockner from Clemson, has gone off track in turn 12. You see Burrow looks like was able to save it. Not much damage to the 121 car, but both of those cars went around. Here's their teammate, Thomas Crump, contact with Beatty. Beatty goes off track in the S's, but he's able to have a safe rejoin.
Can't make it work there. I think there was a little bit of net code there, Marlo, between Crump and Beatty, but we'll have to see. Too wide further back there. I want to say that's Drew Williams and Esteban Munoz battling for the top 10, but Thomas Crump has had so much thrown at him in the first couple of corners. Strama further back, Cade.
And that is Dylan Beatty from Ball State. It looks like he's the only one with significant damage, but he's going to do the smart thing and wait. And that is Ricky Paz, I believe, spinning as well. No shortage of action here. Excuse me, that is not Ricky Paz.
Yeah.
And there was a little bit of an incident in turn 1. When we get the chance, we'll have to break that down. A couple of drivers involved. Ryan Whitlock, you see him not inside the top 10. He was off track in turn 1. Jacob Dick right now being investigated for something. So we're going to keep our eyes on a situation that went down at the back of the pack on the very first lap. But yeah, right there, a lot of action. Andrew Burrell, Nick Stockner involved. Then just after that, Dylan Beatty. I really thought Beatty was going to be a guy who was going to be super competitive, top 5 at the end of free practice, and unfortunately that is going to drop him outside of the top 20.
A little bit of a look to the inside, a 6 there from Wyatt Burton, who is not cracked at all here after our Muhammad Alif has gotten past. Jake Cummins also getting a seat at the table. Got to remember here, Marlo, Wyatt's got that faster pace in those red tires. He wants open air to really unleash that and maximize his strategy right now.
Yeah, you definitely are going to want to get past the car on the slower tires at the moment, but you could also see all the way down the back straightaway he was on that push to pass button, trying to get past him.
And there was just another incident farther back in the pack as well. Did want to update you. Contact with Andrew Voigt. He was involved in a crash with Jacob Dick on lap 1. Voigt now in the pits, and it looks like that is going to be another car that could be out of this race. Now, Marlo, I got to ask, when you have a very early incident like this, just how difficult is it to work your way up through the field and gain some of those positions back?
I mean, it's difficult, especially with the mental aspect of it, knowing that you've made a mistake and that you have to claw this back. You can get in your own head. It's happened to me multiple times.
And will be on Cale Davidson trying to close that gap to the 2 in the 22 for Clemson. It's finally starting to get out of the drama phase of this race, starting to get into a groove. Finally, some single file as we work our way down the hill towards the chicane. Muhammad Alif with just about 0.2 of a second over Wyatt Burton, but again, staying lockstep with him right now. Jake Cummins a little bit further back in no man's land. Cade.
Yeah, Jake Cummings is going to have a little bit of work to do to close that gap, but Wyatt Burton didn't even let a gap build. You can see him, even though he lost the lead, he has stayed right with Alif. He's gotten the toe on the straightaways, and he hasn't lost any time in the corners, which is exactly what you want to do. I do want to give a couple of shout-outs behind them. Adam Willoughby from Clemson, I believe that is his first race this season, as we've got to move for the lead. Sorry, into turn 6, Wyatt Burton, that's Burton trying the outside, and he's not quite going to get it. Alif had the preferred groove in 7, and Marlowe, he pulls away.
Yeah, I thought he was going to make that stick. I think You could see on when we switched right to his onboard, he got a little loose coming off there, but I think
get
we
another
might see
shot
a
here,
move down
boys.
to 10 here.
Alif with the defensive line. He's going to hold the inside on the entrance to 10, and Burton is going to be forced to tuck back into line. No real time lost, but if these two get side by side, is a great save from Burton over the bumps there. That could drag Jake Cummings right back into this battle.
I like this defense a lot, Marlo, from our Muhammad Alif. Go slow on the exit, kind of park it on the middle of the exit, make that car as wide as possible. Don't give Wyatt Burton a lot of options to get past.
Yeah, that's definitely textbook defending right there. If you can make the car as wide as possible. I mean, for myself, I try to put the car right in the middle of the road, make them decide which lane they're going to want to take.
You can see Wyatt Burton with those red sidewalls. He is on the alternate tire. Trying to take a look here and see what the 12 of our Muhammad Alif is on. That could account for a little bit of the speed difference between the two. Okay, yeah, that 12 car is on the primaries. And that could give Burton an opportunity to stay close here in the early going, but we'll have to see if that 26 car fades at all, as this is a move. Clint Halterman on Adam Willoughby for the 6th position down into turn 10. He's not quite going to get it.
Holds on to it there. Want to talk about this kind of different strategy here as Halterman again looking for an inside move on Crump. This is ballsy at the bottom of the hill, side by side across the stripe. Not quite a done deal yet as Halterman needs to hang on to the inside, but not any room given there by Adam Willoughby. Still side by side into the S's, and somehow, some way, Marlo, Halterman does not get that position. Willoughby holds on and drops back, gives that position to Thomas Crump.
I thought they were gonna come together there in turn 1. I know it gets really tight going through 1 there, especially in these formula cars. When you get that little bit of dirty air, it'll wash you right out.
And right there, you saw Halterman lost not only one spot, also lost a position to Thomas Crump. And so now the two Clemson drivers sitting 6th and 7th are going to have an opportunity to drive away and possibly get up there and catch Cale Davidson. We've seen Davidson lockstep with Alif throughout this season, as here's a move. This is Crump on Willoughby, a little bit of lockup there, but they're able to keep it single file, and that opens the door for Halterman to possibly have the inside in turn 12. This is risky. This part of the track is flat out. Halterman keeps his foot to the floor, and he's going to be clear into turn 1.
Ran a little bit of curbing there to get it done, as we saw that front right kind of get airborne in order to make that happen. But Marlo, we knew he was confident. We saw him stick it at the bottom of the hill, and just now we finally see Halterman work his way up into 7th.
That was a pretty good move right there. I probably wouldn't have gone for that myself, but if you got to make those positions up, you got to make the moves.
Yeah, and I think what we saw right there was an opportunity where excuse me, Crump saw a chance to maybe take a position and unfortunately messed up just a little bit and wound up losing one for it. It's risk versus reward, and that's the game that you play in these heavy braking zones here at Road Atlanta, Jackson.
So that battle's going on right now. We've got 2 cars behind trying to join that freight train. It's Drew Williams and Ricky Paz, I believe, as Clint Halterman is forced to the outside now with a dive to the inside from the 22 of Adam Willoughby. Gets that move done. These 3 keep giving us some brilliant battles here, boys.
And it is absolutely fantastic stuff. And I think as big as the draft is, as big as that toe is, in addition to the push-to-pass that these drivers have, these 3 are going to stay together for quite a while. This is Crump being led by Halterman, being led by Willoughby, and at the same time, these 3 trying to catch Cale Davidson. But for the moment, they're going to stay single file through the S's.
I do need to ask, Marlo, does it feel like we're watching some expensive decisions here as Crump is once again trying to find some real estate to put that Clemson machine? But these 3 are clearly fast. There's no doubt about that. But do we think there would be maybe more time saved and some more proactiveness in maybe leaving the battling for later on in the race and maybe just freight training to work your way forward?
I definitely feel like you could do that, but it's hard to get people to want to work with you in a series that's this competitive. You want to scrap and fight for that every position.
See, Halterman maybe had the opportunity there to look to the inside, but I think for now, no, he is going to take it. He pulls to the inside. He might have the preferred groove in turn 1, and he's not going to quite get clear by turn 2. There's going to be a cutback to the left, and that might allow Willoughby to hang on to the spot, and Halterman is just going to tuck back in and make sure that he stays in front of Crump. Do want to give you a couple more updates. Nick Henley and Esteban Munoz have both had to serve penalties, and incidents involving Keegan Kallick and Ryan Whitlock have taken place in the back of the field. Kallick right now holding on to the 12th position, but that car has a little bit of damage, and we might see something from him. And again, Whitlock outside of the top 10 after starting this race in the 5th position. Back up front, this battle has not gone away, and in fact, it has gotten bigger. Drew Williams and Ricky Paz, both admins for the CIL, have managed to close the gap and get just a little bit closer, Jackson.
But we gotta mention, guys, what's happened to Wyatt Burton. He's down in 21st now. I'm not sure if he was in that list of guys who were serving penalties that you mentioned already, but he's dropped back big time now.
Burton was given a penalty as well earlier in this race. Carson Wallers as well just had a spin, and there's a lot going on here. Sorry we're not able to quite get to it all, but yes, Wyatt Burton was penalized, and we'll go back and see if we can find what that is from, but that has moved Jake Cummings up into the 2nd spot. I believe it was a drive-through penalty for the 26 from Trine.
Running between tables, yep. Running between tables right now like a Denny's server at a lunch rush right now, as we've got a 4-car freight train, a battle for the lead. Wherever you're looking, you got cars going at it right now as one of the Clemson cars cuts to the inside further back. That's a big move from the inside from Ricky Paz. Ballsy move there into turn number 6, but gets it done.
I'm not 100% sure, but that might have been some tire advantage there. I don't know what that Clemson car has on. Yeah, it could be the tire advantage that Ricky has, being on that softer red tire.
Those two are going to be single file for the moment, but as they get to the braking zone of turn 10, Paz look to the inside, going to decide better of it, and going back with that incident with Burton, he was penalized and then caught up in a crash. That car currently on pit road repairing damage. You can see him right now being scored all the way back in the 22nd position, and that is going to be a killer. 2-time race winner this season, sitting on the pole. You see he's got the fastest lap, now 23rd for Wyatt Burton, and you just hate to see it, the kind of season that he's had, and getting caught up in something else and making a mistake at the wrong moment with still 50 laps to go. It's going to end Burton's chances at a good finish here today.
Not just someone we thought could bring the battle to AMA in the short term, but one of the main guys that could potentially upset our Muhammad Alif for the championship here, Marlo. But obviously very, very disappointing to see from him, but I'm sure it'll be chin up and on to next week.
Oh, definitely. Next week being that Iowa doubleheader with 2 oval races, and he's been quick on the ovals this season.
Oh, sorry, Clint
Halterman go wide there.
Still kind of wide there on the outside as we're seeing Adam Wilby now go to the inside. This will once again give Thomas Crump an opportunity to pounce on the inside, and we'll get that done. Shuffling these 3 positions like a deck of cards here, just 14 laps in, and all 3 of these cars have seen different positions in the past, say, 5 minutes.
And it's the same cars, but they just keep trading it back and forth. We saw this last week at Montreal. There's small groups of guys that just cannot seem to get away from each other. I have a feeling that Willoughby, Crump, Halterman, they are going to be fighting it out with each other all the way to the end of this thing. You know, these races have a way, no matter what tire strategy you play, no matter what fuel strategy you play, you're going to find the same people. And so I think by the end of this one, they are going to be just the best of friends.
I'm kind of taking my statement back earlier, gents, because, again, all 3 of these guys are on the harder walled, black sidewall primaries. They're all relatively on the same strategy. No one has had the clear advantage at the front of the pack, so it would have diluted naturally at this rate. So at this point, yeah, they're battling with each other, and it might not be efficient, but who cares? It's fun for these guys. It's fun for us to watch.
I mean, I think we've stuck on these guys for about, 5 laps at this point, and I think I'd rather watch that. As we see Some pit stops may be starting here. We're starting to get towards the end of that fuel window. People might be seeing that they can make it on two more stops. Sorry.
At St. Clair's, Adrian Tubakovic coming in. Couple of others in for repairs. First actual scheduled pit stop, though, appears to be Adrian as Thomas Crump once again trying to get back to work on Adam Wilby here.
Yeah, I do want to update you on that. We have the pit window there, something we weren't quite able to talk about. That number is incorrect. We're actually only about 21 laps of fuel, so it would be risky to see somebody pit now. That is actually a drive-through penalty being served by Adrian Tubakovic, as we see Crump get a little bit loose there and give up the position to Willoughby. Willoughby into the top 5, Tubakovic unfortunately in to serve a penalty. I do believe we are about 3 laps away from pit stops being at all possible, but we've seen guys short pit before. You know, we've seen guys take a really long run on fuel, really short run on fuel, and we've also seen guys pit in extra time to try to gain a tire advantage. So all of that still has yet to play out. We will see cars hitting soon, but when it all shakes out, this will be for position. Right now, 5th Willoughby, 6th Halterman, as back up at the front. This battle is heating up. Lucas Moody has run down Jake Cummings, 4 seconds back of the lead, Jackson.
Off the button, we'll try to go to the outside here. This is the run down the chicane as we get Lance Stroll going back over to Thomas Crump. Back over to the battle. Cummings looking for real estate. Takes a peek to the inside. Can't quite get it done, though. Alternate strategy between these two. You can see Cummings on the softer red wall tires, and I think we're starting to really see the fall off, Marlo, of those alternate compounds.
Yeah, Crump did have a little bit of a spin there, dropped him back to the 10th spot. Really unfortunate. He was having an absolute heck of a battle. But yeah, tire fall off something. Marlo, how does it feel when these tires really start to give up on a long run?
I mean, you're hoping that pit stop comes soon. You want those fast, fresh tires. The car just wants to go straight no matter what. You're having to force it. You're feeling the back end step out after every corner. It's not fun.
Cummings still looking for places to go. This battle rages on, though. Crump looking for a way around Wilby. And now when it becomes a 2-car battle, it becomes a lot easier to stay focused on one guy you got to go against. But still can't find a way by right now, working through 6 and 7. Marlo, I feel like strategy now is absolutely going to be paramount when these guys come to pit lane to serve their first stop. I mean, the undercut obviously has advantage if you're Thomas Crump. The guy the guy in front of you can't react if you're the first guy to pit and you're behind. But you could maybe risk putting yourself in traffic here as we watch Crump take another peek to the inside.
Yeah, when you get stuck back in traffic, there's basically the entire power of that undercut or overcut that you've run is just completely worthless. You're going to end up getting stuck with that, and they're going to come out even further ahead of you.
For anyone who's watching, Pete, no, go on, kid.
Sorry, so just want to jump in here. You can see Clint Halterman and Thomas Crump, they were battling for 5th, and they've slipped back. Crump and, Willoughby have not gotten away from each other, but they have both fallen back. Halterman in the pits right now with damage. I believe there was contact between the 022 and the 100 car. That moves Riley Birkins there, the 33, not Joshua Staley. That is Riley Birkins for New England College up to the 7th position. Ricky Paz sneaks up into 6th. Drew Williams up into 5th. So there was some contact there. Very, very tight track. That thing is going to happen. But for the moment, Crump hanging on to the 9th position, and Willoughby right now back in 10th.
Could see a lot of counterlock there as he was running the curbing. And again, you've got your wing a lot higher than the more conventional European open wheelers that you see on iRacing or in the real world. So can definitely run more curbing than normal, Marlo, but that doesn't mean the suspension likes it.
No, you're kind of bottoming that floor out, so you get all of that air that's coming through the diffuser just kind of goes away, so the back end wants to come around on you.
And Road Atlanta does have a lot of those bumps. Even some of the racing surface itself, especially going into turn 12, incredibly bumpy, incredibly rough. But you got to keep your foot on it and kind of just hope that the car can stick, because that's the only way that you're going to make lap time.
I know it's not I know we don't run the infamous bumped corner when we do this, but it still baffles me how the real world guys do preseason testing at Sebring every single year, as that is for sure some automatic spinal alignment for him.
Not even just the spinal alignments. The fact these cars don't have power steering either, so you're feeling every bump, and it's shaking your hands off basically.
And we should see Riley Birkins pitting in this lap. You see Birkins going to make sure to get all the way to the right here through the chicane. Oh, this is going to be interesting. Crump to the inside of the 33. I think the 33 wanted to pit and has missed pit entry.
Had a little bit of tangle up with the lap traffic there, so couldn't necessarily get it done. So now are we going to see both of these guys come in at the same time? Enter Keegan Kelkis. He's working his way into this 3-car battle, but Adam Wilby and Thomas Crump just keep on going at it here, guys.
Yeah, and those are not lap cars. Sorry, I just want to jump in. These are all for position, all on the lead lap. All of this is going to matter. Birkins is up there with Willoughby. See you now. Birkins pretty far behind that group. Car off track is a lap car, but oh no, that's Thomas Crump back to the 10th spot. Sorry.
I think he's out of fuel, guys, or very, very low. Something might have happened further back, but now that's allowed Jason Wallet to go by in the 75, I believe. Or is that Josh Staley?
That is Riley Birkins, sorry, in the 33 there. Jason Wallet still a few seconds back in that blue car. But yet it looked like to me actually Crump may have gotten over a curb, gotten in the grass just a little bit, lost a ton of position. And on all of these wrecks, all of these mistakes, this right here is the guy who has capitalized on all of that. Keegan Callick from St. Clair College. He's had a quiet, good season. He's also had a fantastic rookie campaign in the Cup Series. Now looking for 6th on and Adam Willoughby, and he's going to back out. I think a smart decision there, and smart decisions have kept Keegan alive so far in this one. Do have a few cars on pit road. Birkins finally able to make it into the pits. Ricky Paz in pit road as well, and these should be scheduled stops, Marlo.
Yeah, these definitely should be scheduled stops here. I can't quite see what tires that Crump is going to. I think if our graphics correct, he might be going to those harder black compound.
And that may be a situation where he is just going to go ahead and get that mandatory swap out of the way, try to feel those tires out, compare them. They certainly had the opportunity to do that in practice and see what they prefer. And so now it's a little bit of a situation of setting your race up so that you can end on your favorite tire. Here's Ricky Paz merged out of the pits in a pretty dangerous spot. He's back with Grant Schiller and Adrian Tubakovic, as I believe that is Schiller. Missed the corner exit, and he also barely managed to miss the 19 of Ricky Paz.
Again, Marlo, talking about that disadvantage of the undercut, or maybe if you try and get in a lap early, you got that fresh rubber over the competition, but when you've got slower traffic in front of you, you have nowhere to really put that pace.
I think he just barely missed out on getting that lap traffic, which is going to benefit him. He might get a couple spots here just with people having their tires fall off right at the end of the run.
Kel Davidson in 5th. We're watching Jason Wallet behind there, who had a little bit of a grass mowing incident. Further back has carried on just about 2.5 seconds back as the battle for 5th carries on. Adam Wilby blends in 11th in the 22 car for Clemson. Where does the rest of our players come out here in this scenario? You got Grant Schiller in 9th. Staley still in 12th.
Well, boys, Lucas Moody has come in and pit. Lucas Moody dropping in from the 2nd position. We mentioned he was able to catch and pass Jake Cummings on that primary tire. Now he's probably going to swap to the Ultraman. Drew Williams has come in. Keegan Callick has come in. These are pit stops on lap 23, so definitely pushing the fuel window here to make sure that this is a 2-stop race. Looks like Jason Wallet comes in after he got a little bit off track. Something else happened to Thomas Crump. That car way to the back. He's pitting again as well. There's Drew Williams pulling out, one of our behind-the-scenes admins. Grant Schiller looks like completed his pit stop as well. Busy place on pit road, which also means it's a busy place in turn 2, right with that rejoin, Marlo.
Yeah, that rejoin, when you're coming right out of pit lane, you basically need to have someone telling you who's coming, where they are, especially even driving. People will just appear out of nowhere. I've had a couple Petit Le Mans end with cars coming out of nowhere and just sending us to the shadow realm.
There are plenty of blind corners around this track for sure, not just right there. Entrance of turn 12, also a dangerous spot. Mentioned there's bumps. You also can't really see the apex of the corner, which is the part that you want to hit, and makes it super challenging. New fastest lap for Cale Davidson. He's clearly figured out the challenge. I believe that 2 car has gone ahead and put the alternate tires on, and if he can be good on this short run, it looks like he'll be able to maintain as he has cycled out ahead of Jake Cummings. Here comes Grant Schiller now pitting again. Not sure what's up with the 45. Oh, sorry about that. That 45 car had yet to pit. He's followed in by Ryan Whitlock, who's had just an abysmal race. Contact with the 4 car, contact on lap number 1, and Whitlock trying to just salvage something here, get himself back on the leader strategy.
So a quiet but good season so far for Keegan Cowlick, and a quiet but silent race as well. A silent but fast race, I should say, as he's working his way up to Adam Wilby right now. Kind of watch this battle, this 3-car battle between the Clemson cars, cut out the popcorn and kind of watched it happen in front of him. And now he says, okay, got him singled out, time to strike.
I mean, I think one of the main things that he's had, what some would call quiet seasons, making those high percentage moves, making sure that you get past them and you're not going to rip your front wing off, rip your rear wing off, take a tire off. Just getting those high percentage moves done is going to get you the points. It's going to get you those top 10s.
We're watching it at the very extreme with Muhammad Alif, but you look at how the IndyCar guys do it in the real world, right? Wins are flashy, top 5s, top 3s win you championships. And that's how guys like Scott Dixon, Alex Palou consistently do it. They might not be doing the coolest stuff. They might not be doing the highlight reel stuff like we're watching with Ryan Whitlock right now on the inside of Grant Schiller, but it's consistently ending in the top 5, in the top 10, keeping the wings on the car and keeping it drama-free.
Exactly. It's that consistency. There's a reason that people like Scott Dixon have 6 championships, and Alex Palou has won 2 in a row, if I'm not mistaken.
3 in a row, 4 overall, yeah. Or going for 3 in a row, sorry.
Yeah, that's what it is. It was one of the 2.
Muhammad Alif kind of trying to build up a dynasty of his own. Was the season champion last year, and it was expected to win it by a long shot this season. But as we said at the top of the show, only a 2-point gap right now. He's just 2 points ahead of Cale Davidson. As woohoo! Huge save there on the exit of the turn, just ahead of Adam Willoughby. That is Keegan Cowlick. We talk about being flashy. That was flashy unintentionally. That 29 car did not want to be there.
I didn't mean to do it, but it looked cool, said Keegan Cowlick. Probably major heart in your throat moment as he kind of board slid the car on the outside curbing there at the bottom of the hill, but gets that position, and that St. Clair car gets his way up into 7th. And now we're starting to see a little bit of a backup from Adam Wilby. Cowlick has that red compound. He might be able to sail away from that Clemson machine.
And another guy we haven't talked about much moving into this battle, Aiken Lamar, the 094 from Howard Community College, has closed right up in this battle as well. As we go back up, this is immediately in front of the leaders. I believe that is Muhammad Alif right behind Adrian Tubakovic. And Alif is seeing these 2 cars just behind Whitlock, and he is thinking, do not crash. Just get out of my way if you can. But into turn 7, they're battling for position, and that is able to save it. I believe that's Zohir Mirza in the 24. And we are going to continue here. And Alif able to clear both of those cars.
2 St. Clair's cars managed to keep it drama-free there despite almost losing it on the exit of 7. Let's AMA through. And Drew Williams continues to sail forward here as now he's got Keegan Cowlick in sight.
And that is a little bit of a defensive line there. I believe that is actually Ricky Paz in the 19 immediately in front of him. Paz kind of pulled to the inside a little bit to make sure that Drew couldn't get a move on him, and he's going to be able to maintain that gap all the way through 11, now 12. But Drew, it looks like, got a little bit of a better run of the corner. I don't know if he's going to get there by turn 1. But this right now, battle for 5th, battle for a top 5 between two drivers who've not had clean seasons, but they've managed to have a clean race, and that's gotten them up here.
On paper, this is in Drew Williams' advantage. He's on the softer red walls, but we know the kind of driver that Ricky Paz, excuse me, and he is not one to crack under pressure as they work their way into turn number 6.
Yeah, and Drew Williams may start feeling a little bit of pressure to get this move done soon if he can. We saw earlier in this race with Jake Cummings that red alternate tire seemed to wear out quite a little bit after, maybe 10, 12 laps or so. We last pitted around lap 23, so we're 6 laps into a run. So if Drew can't get this pass done in another 6 laps, he may lose that advantage and he may be stuck behind the 19 car.
Another peek to the inside here is another battle here. It's Jason Wallet trying to get around. I believe that's Soya Mirza in the 24. Yes, it is. Can't quite get it done there through turn number 6.
And these are the cars that were battling right in front of a Leaf. Just because a Leaf got by him does not mean that they've given up the battle to Bakovic, Mirza under a blanket. That's brought Jason Wallet into it. And those three have been duking it out for the past few laps. Hopefully they're going to be able to keep it clean right now back in 13th or so. You want to finish the race out cleanly. But those guys doing battle like it is for the lead. Back up front here in the 5th and 6th spot, Ricky Paz still leading Drew Williams. Clock ticking a little bit for Williams. Just behind them, pretty close battle between Keegan Kallick and Adam Willoughby for the 7th spot. That's a pretty good gap behind. Here they are. That's Willoughby in 8th. Don't believe he's going to quite look to the inside. Yes, he is. Late peek out. And he's going to be now stuck on the outside for turn 10. That's going to maybe give the preferred groove to Kallick. But Kallick is going to back out, give it to him, and Willoughby, nearly contact on exit, but Willoughby for Clemson hangs on to the 7th position, Marlo.
Yeah, that was definitely one of those turn 10A, 10B moves. If you could hold the outside through 10A, you get that inside line through 10B, and you could kind of shoot it up over the hill and most of the time get that position.
And Willoughby now being shown the black flag. We're not entirely sure what that is for. We will see, but if that is the case, may have been that really aggressive block on corner entry, not entirely sure. But Willoughby could have a drive-through penalty to serve here in a moment. Keep an eye on that 022 car currently sitting in 7th. Again, that is his first race of the season, and if that's a penalty, that'll be not the way he wants to go. Now Drew Williams to the inside of turn 10, and Paz looks like just gonna let him have it for now. Maybe a chance to get back on exit, and no, Williams holds the spot. Drew Williams to the top 5.
Back and forth we go. We'll have to see, though, what the black flag was for. As again, these two are flicking these cars back and forth right now, trying to get in and out of the slipstream. S's give you a great opportunity to set up for an overtake in 6th if you can get a better exit, if you can get the preferred line, as we now see Adam Willoughby work his way into pit lane.
Yeah, just coming through to serve that drive-through for, we still don't know what reason. Is that move that he made, it looked pretty clean, so it might have been something that happened earlier in the lap.
It is possible, but unfortunately that is going to put a huge hamper on his race for the moment. Still halfway. We are just about exactly at the halfway mark. But unfortunately, Willoughby got himself a little bit of a hole to go in. Now Adrian Tubakovic in the pits. Not sure if that's for damage or if it could be a strategy play. We mentioned at the beginning that this was very easily a 2-stop race on fuel. But there was potentially an opportunity for this to be a 3-stop race on tires. And looking at the amount of time that he's been on pit road, it looks like that is just a tire stop, as Ricky Paz had a big moment there in turn 1.
Almost overcooked it, almost got into Drew Williams there, but kept it going. So business as usual right now, but again, to get it wrong at the entrance of the S's, you're kind of messing it up for the entirety. You've got to make some major adjustments on throttle to kind of get back on the groove. So that's taken a lot of regathering from Ricky Paz to get back at it against Drew Williams. Again, it's these two, and then a little bit further back, you got Keegan Calick and Aiken Lamar kind of in no man's land. And up front right now, Muhammad Alif almost 7 seconds over Lucas Moody.
Yeah, one thing that we haven't really talked about is that at this point the marbles are going to start building up offline, and making those offline moves are going to be harder and harder as the race goes on, as it really forms into that one groove. With those marbles offline, you clip them and you just get sent.
I think something else we should really mention here, Marlo, is when we've got two guys battling on different compounds. Obviously, Ricky's on the back side of this right now on those primary tires. But for the alternates and Drew Williams, that battle, that pace is ultimately going to work back to Ricky, as we hope to see a fall off for those red-walled Firestones. Again, quicker in the short term, but that's going to eventually have a fall off, and the advantage will go back over to Ricky Paz.
I was surprised in that first stint that they didn't fall off sooner, but I think it'll eventually come back to him. And as a driver, you think, oh, they're on the softer compound, they're going to come back to me eventually. But it's really what happens first. The tires die, or you have to pit to fill up your tank.
So how much of an adjustment could we potentially see now if we've got guys who, had a later stop off the primary, switched over to the alternates, realizing, hey, maybe some guys are running longer on the red walls than I initially realized. Maybe I do a longer stint than initially planned. Maybe instead of ending on the primaries, I go back over to the alternates and see how long they can last, and if I can maybe run it at pace to the finish.
I mean, it's if you run red for your first two stints, you kind of made your bed, and you gotta run you have to run both of those compounds. I mean, I think some of the people on this grid would say if there wasn't that, we'd just go red, and have that faster tire. But I don't. It's something that you're having to think about lap after lap as a driver. Yep. You're having like an engineer talking in your ear, telling you, hey, this is what people are doing. We might want to switch to this. What are your thoughts?
Clean air for Adam Wilby. He opens the mainsail and sails past Aitken Lamar. But Cade, we're watching this battle once again, as that drop-off might finally be reaching Drew Williams as this battle for fifth continues.
Yeah, earlier I said about 12 laps we'd see fall off, and guess when we pitted? Lap 23 was 12 laps ago, so it looks to me, for the first time this season, I've been right about something about strategy. Drew Williams starting to fall back to Ricky Paz. Keegan Calick, you can see him there in the battle, but he's on those red tires as well, and so if Calick is going to stay in this battle, he's going to maybe have to do something to try to get a little more longevity out of those tires, because if he can't, you see already Williams starting to put even more distance between himself and the 29 of Calick. This is the exit of turn 7 up the hill. You see Drew Williams move to the right to break the draft. Ricky Paz on the push to pass. They're going to be side by side down into turn number 10. It looks like dead even around the bend. Really low entry for Paz. And he's able to get it done. Uses a lot of curb, but Ricky Paz is clear of Drew Williams on that prime tire. Looks like he's going to sail away, Jackson.
I was going to say it's not over until you get to the bottom of the hill, because so often we see guys able to kind of mount a comeback right here on the run into turn number 1, but he was absolutely able to get his head down and sail ahead. So we've got about 2 car lengths now between those two. And the minute I say that, Dylan Beatty trying to get to work there in that Ball State car, trying to work past Zohir Mirza.
Yeah, Beatty was one guy we mentioned earlier, just one of the many drivers caught up in an absolutely chaotic race. And he's going to sneak on by Mirza up to the 14th position, but unfortunately 1 lap down for Dylan Beatty.
Quick work over under there gets it done, as behind him, I believe, is Josh Staley and a couple of the Clemson guys going at it, I believe. But Zohair Mirza, solid running so far. Same for Aiken Lamar. Ryan Whitlock, somehow, some way, working that UAH car back into the top 10. Obviously not where he wants to be, considering where he rolled off, but certainly trying to turn lemons into lemonade here.
I mean, a top 10's a top 10.
Sorry, go ahead, Marlo.
Oh, I was just saying a top 10's a top 10. If you can get your way back after getting an incident to a top 10, I'd call that a good day.
But yeah, this is a situation that we've seen Ryan in a couple of times this year. Remember, Long Beach comes to mind where he ripped the front wing off the car, I believe in 2 separate incidents, and both times had to drive his way back up through the field. And, you know, he kicks himself a little bit after some of these races because he's got incredible pace, but unfortunately he gets caught up in somebody else's incidents or he makes a mistake or something. And then even though he's got the speed, I mean, it looks to me like he passed Muhammad Alif. He was 1 lap down, and he's now put the 12 in his rearview mirror. So if he was able to catch and pass Alif on pace, then he is absolutely going to be kicking himself for not being up there in the fight for the lead. But like you said, a top 10's a top 10. Nothing to complain about here. He's going to try to grab 8th from Adam Willoughby, and with still over 20 laps to go, I think this could still turn into a pretty good run for Whitlock.
No, absolutely. And Willoughby knows this is for position. He's looking for anywhere he can maybe get that, where he can defend. Gonna try to make that orange and purple machine, the 22, as wide as possible. How much has Whitlock gone on push to pass? How much more juice does he have in the tank to potentially work his way into the top 5? Looks to the inside here going down the hill. This is going to be a tough move on the anchors, but gets it done. Not totally clear. Again, this will give an opportunity for Willoughby to strike back, and just like I said, is able to clear him once again, and back and forth we go as we cross the stripe.
Yeah, huge crossover move there from Willoughby, but Whitlock kind of put a little bit of feint to the inside, trying to see if he could get Willoughby to flinch. We've mentioned Willoughby first start of the season, so Whitlock trying to shake the rust off of that 022 car in any way that he can. Willoughby didn't flinch there, had a clean line, and able to lead him through the S's, and now bearing back down on him as they got to battling. Muhammad Alif has been brought back right into this one. Alif maybe wants to keep his distance. He's put 13 seconds on his teammate in the number 13, so no pressure to get around these guys. I would leave just a little bit of a gap in case they do get together, because we have seen that happen time and again here on a very tight racetrack.
Marlo, how badly do you think Ryan wants to stay on this lead lap? I know that at this point a win or a podium is out of contention as there's another peak to the inside, but how badly does he want that track position?
I mean, if you could stay on that lead lap, if something freak were to happen and a yellow comes out, that puts him right back in the fight. But if he's that, woo, he got sideways coming down the hill there. But as I was saying, if that freak yellow comes out, and if you're a lap down, you're stuck there. There's no lucky dog. The only way you could get that lap back is if you're ahead of the leader and behind the safety car. But if you're still on that lead lap and that yellow comes out, you're getting right back up into that fight, and you could charge your way back through the field.
Still some very, very aggressive driving here. No friendship at all between Whitlock and Willoughby, trying to hold off Alif. Again, some big dashes of understeer, or oversteer, I should say, but slow corrections. That's kind of telling me that he's running the car loose intentionally. I think there is some oversteer there, but it's not anything he's getting nervous about.
And I think it could be sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, I think it could be track conditions as well. Could be something, we know that Road Atlanta has definitely a rough surface, an aging surface, which iRacing, I think, has done a pretty good job of replicating. And so, like you said earlier, the marbles build up. Now we got heat building up on the track. We've got rubber building up on the track. His tires are wearing. That car is just naturally going to slide a little bit more. And, if he's decided to run a little bit of a looser setup, maybe he's going to run a little bit higher on the weight jacker. Like you mentioned, you want to get that wing up in the air. That's definitely a personal choice as well, but anticipating that the car is going to slide and being able to catch it without herky-jerky motions, that's something that comes with a lot of experience, and at this specific track, Whitlock definitely has a lot of experience. So here Mirza in pit road from the 17th position. Mentioned a pretty good race for the driver from St. Clair, rookie season there, and that should kick off the next sequence of pit stops. Just about 20 laps to go. We're in the fuel window to make it and everybody should be running low on gas. So we'll see who the first one of the leaders is to pit, as Willoughby right here looks like going to do the smart thing and let a leaf by.
I mean, there is a rule that you have to, once you get that blue flag, you should let the leader through. That's a league rule. It's not an iRacing rule, but it's a league rule. And sometimes if you're in a battle, race control will see, hey, you're fighting someone, you don't have to fully keel over.
Right.
But if you're kind of out on your own and you're not letting the leader by, well, you might see race control get in and say, hey, impeding the leader, do a drive-through.
Big slide there for Willoughby. I think just shows how much grip is not in these tires, how hard he's pushing, how hot the track is. Everything came together right there, and I thought for a moment again, oh, and he is off in the grass. I don't think there was contact, but Aiken Lamar gets on the brakes to avoid, and Willoughby, for the moment, is going to stay driving in a straight line. But my goodness, he got loose once, saved it, got loose again, and had to use the grass to help him out. Now, Grant Schiller, the next car on pit road. Ricky Paz in, Drew Williams in. This with lap 42, just about 21 laps to go.
And Aiken Lamar's going to be a great kind of diagnosis to see how messed up Willoughby's car is. No look to the inside there from the Howard Community College driver. Stays in lockstep with him for the time being. We'll see if there's any reaction from either of these two into pit lane. No, sir. So lap 42, and this is optimizing maybe to do a late run, to run light on fuel, to maybe go to the primaries to finish this race, depending on how your strategy is. And there, most importantly, it feels like there's some confidence on Willoughby, despite this this incident that we saw earlier on. This car is still probably okay.
I'm not 100% sure if he hit anything. He might have just slid through the grass and saved it.
Yeah, I don't see any damage on the front wing. It would have been the left front catching the tire wall if there was contact, and as it drives by right there, it looks clean. So dirty tires, but clean race car. Jake Cummings and Cale Davidson. Oh, Cale Davidson had to back up into his pit box. That's going to be costly. Those two are getting pretty close together, and they should exit the pits right on top of each other. You see Jake Cummings peels out. Cale Davidson maybe 7-8 car lengths behind him. This first lap on cold tires is going to be key, Marlo.
Yeah, the outlap. No tire warmers here in IndyCar, so that outlap, you're skating on ice essentially. But once those tires come up to temperature, you're gonna be going. You're gonna be running it down as fast as you can for this final push to the finish.
Pit stop battle here between Willoughby and Lamar.
Yeah, seeing Lamar's in. And we cut away.
Yeah, it did look like they kind of similar position, entered the pits, and they're probably going to exit about the same time as well. We'll be able to compare their pit lane times there on the right side of the screen. Those numbers should be identical because they came in within a couple car lengths of each other. Same as these two. Looks like Lamar. They're going to be side by side. Sorry, and
oh, man,
I think Lamar was in the wall there. It was really close if he wasn't.
It's almost impossible to go side by side through that pit exit there. I don't know how one of them didn't break a wheel or even a front wing.
Either it was in the wall or in the grass there for Lamar, but that has given Willoughby a really big advantage here on the exit. Back over to Cale Davidson right now. Believe he's just on the tail of Jake Cummins. Yes, he is. So battle for that bottom spot of the podium is on. Has a really good exit here on the run into 6th. Are we going to see any moves here?
Just that little bit too far back to be able to make the move. He's probably going to try and set him up down into 10A.
Going back to look at it, Willoughby squeezed Lamar just a little bit, but Lamar did not catch the wall, so no damage to the 095 car. They are free to race on.
Lap traffic a factor here as one of the cars gets out of the way. Davidson with nowhere to go right now, not far enough back to strike as the battle for third rages on. More lap traffic. That's the 44. That's the purple car, I believe, of Dylan Beatty. But
that's the 66 of Garrett Greathouse. Do want to give him a shout out, making his series debut as Cale Davidson move possibly for third into turn 1. Wasn't quite able to stick, but he's going to live to fight another day. Yeah, that's Garrett Greathouse, 66. First race with us. We're happy to see Garrett here running inside the top 20, although he's a couple laps down.
Love to see new schools, new drivers represented here in the CIL. Whether you're a student or an alumni, always welcome to be a part of this program, whether it's Cup Series, IndyCar, you name it, we've got it here at CIL. So always welcome for drivers of all ages and all representations to come and give us a shot. Cale Davidson now right on the gearbox of Jake Cummins, closer than last lap. Are we going to see any push to pass? Are we going to see any move here going down the hill?
Not seeing on our graphic anything, but always going to try and make that move. Thinks better of it. Wants to try and live another lap.
These two have been fighting each other all season, it feels like. Typically, Cale Davidson has had the upper hand, but in the moments where he slipped up, Jake Cummings has tried to be right there to capitalize. I think this is one of the first times they've really done battle wheel to wheel, but they have been close on pace. You know, Jake Cummings had the pole for Texas. Cale Davidson was right there to fight him for it, and once again, going at it this time or third, and the winner of this battle, if they can hang on to the position, will achieve a podium position. So definitely some incentive to push and try to get that, as Cale pushes just a bit too hard, mows a little bit of grass, and gets some dirt on those tiles. He'll clean those off and have another shot at it.
Race leader Muhammad Alif into the pit lane. Are we going to see this gap close, and if so, by how much? Between him and Lucas Moody, probably relatively drama-free between these two, but again, just 2 spots back. This battle rages on between Jake Cummins and Ball State's Cale Davidson as he continues to look for real estate. Had a little bit of a hiccup earlier on in this lap, but has gotten right back to it. And as they head to the bottom of the Hellcade, I feel like there's got to be a little bit of patience now for Cale after that mistake earlier on, knowing you've got, you know, over 15 laps to really get this move done. You know you have the pace. You're the fastest man on track right now, but you gotta wait for the right opportunity. This might be it through the S's.
Yeah, they're going to try to go side by side through the S's, and there's that little bit of patience. Yeah, 15 laps to go. Cale Davidson decides that he's going to back out of that one. Maybe had the opportunity to go side by side through the S's, but I don't think that would have ended well, and Davidson didn't think so either. Like you said, he's got time, he's got pace. What he doesn't quite have is an opportunity. I think right there, huge amount of counter steer, able to keep the car straight. If you're Davidson, take a breather. Like you said, you got time, you got pace. You should be able to get the 95 before this one's over.
Yeah, Marlo, that looked like he almost locked up the rears there, was actually counter steering before the entrance of the corner. So I think maybe a little bit too much of a checkup, or maybe a little bit slower Jake Cummins was than Davidson expected, but keeps it going. And
took the words right out of my mouth. He keeps thinking about that move into one, and it's just, I don't know if that's the move. I think you want to get him down into 10A. That's what I'd be thinking. Try and set him up down into 10A. Try and do that over-under move.
I think 10A is a good chance. Turn 6 a good chance as well with those consecutive corners. But Cale Davidson is going to have to choose his moment wisely right there into turn 6. Not close enough to make it work.
But again, we see how much guys Cale struggles on the exit of the S's in the run towards turn 6. There's that drop off from the curb that just upsets his car so much. As purple lap now goes to Muhammad Alif. I think it would have to be here in the run to the bottom of the hill for Cale to get it done.
I think it's really going to depend where the opportunity presents itself, whether it's a mistake from Cummings or a great run for Davidson, maybe some push to pass. Maybe he finds just a little bit extra grip. I think there's going to be a window that is going to open. And there may only be one before the end of this race. Jake Cummings knows how to hold a straight wheel, won the Cup race on Monday. He's done great things this season here in the Formula College World Championship. So there's not going to be many windows, but I have to believe there's going to be at least one, and Cale is going to have to capitalize on that and hope that it happens in a spot where he's in a position to do so. Right now, 5/10 back. He's got to close that gap up a little bit before he can think about making the pass.
You see it again there, just that little bit of drop off from the curbing there just upsets the back of the car just a little bit in that pivotal moment where you need to get the power down, you need to be confident, as our Muhammad Alif once again sets another fastest lap, and Kel Davidson tries to get to work and get by Jake Cummins. 12 laps to go, your top 10. Muhammad Alif, Moody, Cummins, Davidson, Williams, Ricky Paz, Keegan Kallick, Ryan Whitlock, Clint Halterman, and Adam Wilby rounding out your top 10. Good run from Davidson at the bottom of the hill here, Cade.
Yeah, great run there. That's closed up that gap and got him right on the bumper of the 95, both flat out through turn 12. Real quick, I do want to give a shout out to Clint Halterman. He was up in the top 5 at the very beginning of this race, was caught up in a little bit of an incident, I believe, repaired some damage on pit road. But just like Whitlock, he's put his head down, he's ground those positions out, he's gotten around Adam Willoughby to lock himself into the 9th spot. Unfortunately, 1 lap down and still possibly has a pit stop to make. But Clint Halterman back up into the top 10 after a rocky start to the race. Now back to this battle. It's Cummings 3rd, Davidson 4th, and right there, Davidson, I think, was just a hair better on exit, but not anything to do. Here is Ricky Paz and Drew Williams. We talked about this race earlier, boys, and it has come back. This is the battle for 5th as Drew Williams cuts some grass, gets off track, saves it in a straight line, and he may hold on to the position.
Defense to the inside. There isn't going to be too much of a move here from Ricky Paz, but we see that lockup up front there from Williams. How is Paz going to react? He's not on the button quite yet. There it is on push to pass. Where are we going to see him put it as they work their way down the hill towards the chicane?
They're going to be nose to tail. Paz, a little bit of a look to the inside, a little bit of a feint move. He's going to have to tuck in and find the run somewhere else. Didn't get him into 10 that time. He's going to have a few more opportunities here. Still 11 laps to go, but this battle's been going on for quite a while. The tires are finally equal, and now Paz had a look to the inside and thought better of it. We haven't seen turn 1 be a crate passing zone, and right there Paz decided he didn't want to try it.
Scary place to try and sell the dummy there, and obviously not too much of a crack there from Ricky Paz, who now has a very significant gap over Keegan Kallick, but continues to get going. A little bit of drama there, as I want to say the car got upset big time there for Keegan Kallick. Managed to gather it back up, but that's going to let Ricky Paz sail on in 6th.
Yeah, Kallick, like we said, had a pretty clean race. Actually, just went a lap down there. You see, that was our Muhammad Alif getting around the 29 car. So running in 7th and gone a lap down, that just tells you the pace that Alif is putting up. Haven't really talked about the 12 car much because he hasn't been in a battle, but he's done a fantastic job keeping that wheel straight. We saw him just go out and lay down the fastest lap of the race, faster than a 1:06, and Alif putting Kallick a lap down. We know Kallick's a great driver, great car. Alif's got around him and pulled a 19-second gap here with just about 10 laps to go.
No, I mean, Whitlock was the main guy that could potentially bring the battle to him, and obviously, Wyatt Burton was really the main guy that could potentially bring that battle to him, and then had that major drama in the opening laps. So we will see just how much this gap can extend. Lucas Moody, 22nd, you can stick a fork in that battle, essentially. But still plenty of battles here. Battles for 4th and 5th, battles for 6th and 7th. That spread out a bit, but should resume. And you could absolutely anticipate a battle coming soon between Aitken Lamar and Adam Wilby as well.
And we do want to thank you guys for watching real quick. If you guys have anybody that you're not exactly sure where they're running, if you want to know where a specific driver is, you got a guy you're cheering for, you can go ahead, leave a message in the chat. We'll try to get around and give him a shout out here before the end of this race. But thank you so much for the University of Alabama in Huntsville. 10 laps to go, and this battle has heated up once again, and now they're going to have some lap traffic to deal with. That's Aitken Lamar. We know Lamar has had a pretty good race. I think been involved in just something of an incident. No, Lamar's still inside the top 10, so we know Lamar is a good car. He's going to probably lay over and let these guys by, but while he's ahead, that's going to give a little bit of a tow to Jake Cummings and Marlowe. How big is that tow down these straightaways?
Especially at a track like this, with that long back straightaway, the tow is going to mean a lot around here. But also, through those S's, he's going to have that dirty air. He's going to understeer. And that's going to put more heat into his tires, more wear into his tires. And that, it kind of balances out, but it also can be the decider in getting that move done.
They are able to get around Lamar cleanly. Did it in the S's, a little bit of a sketchy spot, but still able to clear the 094. Next lap car ahead of them is Garrett Greathouse, and that car, it looks like, is going to, for now, hold his line, and that lets Cale Davidson close right up to it. Not for the moment. Greathouse to the outside, now going to slide in between the two and get out of the way down the straightaway. Good opportunity to pull away there, but still about 0.3 of a second. Still not close enough. Now, we talked about patience earlier, Marlo, but it hasn't quite paid off yet. Time is starting to tick away.
Definitely, as a driver, you're looking at that lap count and you're seeing there's only a certain number of laps left, and you're going to have to find a way to make that move. If it comes down to the last lap, we might end up seeing a pretty massive dive bomb into 10.
We see there Clint Halterman on pit road. That car was given a black flag. Looks like he got in a Riley Birkins. Birkins back to the 16th spot. Halterman will probably cycle out behind the 33 after that. That was an incident farther back in the pack. So Halterman not going to be able to get a top 10 after a pretty good recovery for the UNC Charlotte driver. That may well be the first race this season that he has finished outside the top 10 without getting involved in a major crash. So we'll keep an eye on where Halterman winds up finishing. Here's Dylan Beatty in the 14th spot. Looks like he is going to cycle out right behind Halterman. So Halterman manages to hold on to 13th. That'll keep Birkins in the 15th spot. Just ahead of him, Joseph Grijalva. Haven't mentioned that name much, but I believe a fairly clean race for Grijalva. 15th for Purdue. Just a couple of laps down, working through more lap traffic. That's Riley Birkins in the 33, couple laps down. Going to move out of the way to let Cummings and Davidson get through. Davidson is still right there, but that opportunity hasn't presented itself.
Davidson just about took his front wing off there going through turn 3. He got right. I couldn't tell if he locked the tire, but he was definitely thinking that something was going to happen there.
See this battle take them through turn 6 and into turn 7. Another lap car ahead. They've done a pretty good job getting out of the way thus far, so I can't imagine it's going to be too big a problem. But as it comes down to it, you said earlier a massive send into turn 10, but we got to be careful. How easy is it? I want to know, to lock up these tires. You make a send, it doesn't quite work, and next thing you know, you're in the kitty litter.
If you're going in a straight line, it's really hard to lock a tire up. Oh, they're going to try and go 3 wide into turn 1 here. So I'm going to hold my point there and see what happens here.
Oh, and Cummings is up! Jake Cummings!
Into the wall, and that's his race over. I think he took a tire off. That's race over.
And that car is destroyed. 6 laps to go. Got wide on the exit of turn 1. And he may try to limp this one home, but a massive impact from Jake Cummings.
Limping it back it's going to be futile. If you take a tire off, that's your race over. No fast repairs on the road courses here. That felt like shades 2 years ago at Petit.
Goodness.
And that
a race that was looking so good for the Converse University kid was looking to potentially stand on the podium once again here in season 12. And has to be careful collecting it on the track. Almost gets it broadside here in turn 7. And you can almost guarantee, guys, we're going to see some involvement from race control there. And we might not have Cale Davidson standing on the podium.
And they're certainly going to take a look at it. I've got a little bit of a look back here. I don't believe we can get you a replay, but there was no contact. There was exactly 1 car width between Cale Davidson and the curb, and Cummings got just a little bit wider than that, got his left side tires in the dirt, and as soon as he did that, it was, like you said, race over for the 95. He's already lost 1 lap, and it looks to me like that damage is terminal. He's going to limp this car around, and bring it down pit road this time. Just 3 laps to go. Jake Cummings, you know who that really helps? That really helps Wyatt Burton, because he was going to lose a ton of points in the overall, yeah. But this right here, going 3 laps down by the end of this race, is going to drop him all the way back to about the 19th position, back with Connor Bingle and Garrett Greathouse. And so that could mean a huge sigh of relief for Wyatt Burton. Ryan Whitlock sneaking by Keegan Calick up into the 6th position.
Forward charge continues. 12 seconds up the road as Ricky Paz. I don't think he's going to be able to get that done in 3 laps time. But as we talked about earlier, Marlo, I mean, despite the drama earlier on and some real slick moves here from the UAH guy, I think this is a result he's going to be happy with.
Oh, especially with having that incident early on and being able to fight your way back to a position like this, that's definitely a good day. If you can still keep those consistent points after having a bit of a topsy-turvy day, that's a good race in my book.
I know it's not, you know, the optimal result or the optimal way a race could go, but you know, Muhammad Aralif is so used to sitting at the front of the field and staying there. Ryan Whitlock having a lot more work to do to work his way to the front of the field. It's a lot more work to do, but it can usually be a lot more fun as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's a lot more fun to charge through the field, make those overtakes, than just kind of sitting and riding and getting the win. I've had races that are more fulfilling when I've fought through to finish 4th, rather than races where I've started on the pole and led every lap.
As Marlo and I were talking there, a little bit of another grass mowing incident there from Keegan Calick. That spreads them about a second apart. And as I'm saying, that should be the white flag next time by Cade for R. Muhammad Alif.
Yeah, R. Muhammad Alif has put up a couple more seconds. We've talked to him in post-race interviews before where he's felt like, hey, I've got a lead. I'm going to go out and set the fastest lap. He went out, did that. And I think once he got that purple timer next to his name, he decided to back it down a little bit and put some pace up. You know, he's only going 170 miles an hour around 12 incredibly tight turns. You know, nothing too crazy there. But next time by, he's going to take the white flag. He grabbed the lead into turn 1 after sitting on the outside pole and hasn't given it up since. So it's going to be almost a flawless drive from Alif. There are only 5 cars on the lead lap after this one, him and then 4 others. And on top of that, 2 of those 4 are his Ball State teammates. The wall of ball, R. Muhammad Alif, Lucas Moody, Cale Davidson, looking like they're going to bring home the podium. But hey, anything can happen. We saw it at Montreal. We already saw an incident with Jake Cummings. And now something could happen again. Hopefully not, but we'll see. R. Muhammad Alif is going to come out of turn 12 and take the white flag. And he's going to get it 1 lap to go.
Yep, we fly, the motto of Ball State University. The obvious Indiana-based college here, and 4 of the 20,000 students here have flexed major muscle. And as I say that, a major twitch there from R. Muhammad Alif working his way through the S's. But already starting to run out of fingers to count season 12 wins for this young man right here from Ball State University. But he's got just half a lap to go to add another one.
And he will have filled up an entire hand counting those wins. This is going to be number 5 on the season, all of them on road courses, and all of them in dominant fashion. Down to famed back straightaway for the final time. He's got his teammate right in front of him. He's got one of his closest competitors a lap down behind him. It's got to be a great feeling for R. Muhammad Alif. Hits his break mark through 10A, 10B, up through 11. And if he can keep it clean for one more corner, the driver from Ball State is going to bring it home. His 5th win of the season, R. Muhammad Alif wins the You Should Go to Petit Le Mans Grand Prix at Road Atlanta.
Absolutely drama-free race there. Exactly what the doctor ordered in a tight championship battle here. Keegan Calick going to bring it home in 7th. It looks like Clint Halterman got in a little bit more drama here, but he's got an opportunity to maybe get by Grant Schiller here as they're working their way through turn 6 and 7.
Yeah, even though Alif has already hit the line, these guys still have half a lap to go. Halterman laying on the push to pass. getting on the button, getting in the draft, he may have an opportunity to do that dive bomb that we rumored could be possible. This is for P11. Will Halterman send it or not?
Gives it a look to the inside, gets back in line now, was hoping for an error maybe from Schiller in front. Still not over yet. Great exit from Halterman. Looks to the inside down the hill. Major dash of oversteer. Who's got more ponies to the line?
Give it to Grant Schiller. Great run for the rookie from St. Clair College. 11th to Schiller. Halterman will take 12th. Unfortunately, neither top 10 for those boys, but they brought it home in thrilling fashion. We'll have to see the gap between those two cars, but it was ever so close.
And we got to give flowers to Clint Halterman, who's given us and everyone in chat some great entertainment all night. But the checkered flag is going to go to this man right here, Muhammad Alif, who's going to try to burn it down. Oh, yeah. Does an Aussie burnout on the line. There we go.
And he's going to be joined by his teammates, Luke Smoody, Cale Davidson, complete the podium for Ball State. A little bit of a group burnout. These have been staples for Ball State. They've been doing them all year. Oh, perfect sync.
Beautiful.
10 out of 10. I would rank that one. You know, this should be an Olympic sport.
Oh, boy.
That's going to be a fun interview, fun times there on the line. First bit of damage for Muhammad Alif. Gets himself a 2x there doing donuts, but look at that. Fantastic race for this one, and fantastic race for you, Jackson Marlowe, your first one up in the booth. How did it feel?
That was a real fun race to watch. Lots of drama, lots of good racing. I definitely like to come back in the booth sometime.
I know obviously your priorities are in driving, Marlowe, and I hope the FOMO wasn't too high here because it feels like you missed a hell of a show. But with that being said, great, absolutely great way for me to start my time in the box here with CIL. Hopefully the first of many with this group, and look forward to it. I've been tuning in for the past couple of seasons, and it has not disappointed, whether it's on road courses or ovals. And once again, yet another banger from this cast of students and alumni. So cannot wait for the next one, Cade.
Yeah, thank you for coming up and joining us. You are absolutely welcome anytime. I kind of blew my voice out last week soloing, so any opportunity that we can get to get you or anybody up here in the booth. It's been great having you, Marlo. If you're going to be back out there racing next week, we'll try to give you some coverage. We'll try to give you some shout-outs, and hopefully you can run well for us. Jackson, if you want to come up here, like I said, you are more than welcome. We should be getting you some interviews with your top 3 drivers. So we're going to try to start with Cale Davison. We'll get that sorted up here in just a couple of minutes. But before then, key takeaways. What are some things that you really, really noticed? We're getting into the late portion of the season. I'll start with you, Marlo. Anything you saw here that you think you could help or you saw that was super interesting that's going to apply to the rest of the road courses we got in Season 6?
I'm starting to see, we're getting to that point of the season where people are starting to realize that maybe the championship's out of reach and you're just going to want to go for wins, go for that gap. It's all about just having fun, basically, making moves that you wouldn't normally make if you were like in a tight championship battle.
I'm going to say actually the opposite. This was such a race of resilience. We saw so many great drives from the back after some really big incidents. Ryan Whitlock, a great example of that. Obviously, Wyatt Burton got past the point of no return there, but Cale Davidson working his way to the front of the field. And again, we've seen cracks in the armor from Muhammad Alif, guys. We know that he's someone that can get in incidents and can make mistakes. So it's definitely a long reach, but it's definitely not out of reach here with 3 races to go.
I'm seeing what you're saying here, but for someone like me having, missed this race, it's going to be pretty hard to come back for the championship. I think I'm already mathematically out at this point.
Hey, but you give it the best shot you can. We'll go ahead and take a look at the results while we're getting those interviews sorted out. Muhammad Alif wins it by 22 seconds over teammate Lucas Moody, and their teammate Cale Davidson rounds out the top 3, all from Ball State. Drew Williams wins the Alumni standings for the first time this season. The 123 from Clemson brings it home fourth. Just behind him, Ricky Paz from ECU, his first top 5 of the season. He's going to be happy about that one. For Vortex mentioned there, Ryan Whitlock started 5th and finished 6th. It certainly wasn't that linear on paper, but he brings the 81 sponsorship car in the top 10. Keegan Calix 7th, another good run for the St. Clair car. Adam Willoughby, first race of the season, brings it home 8th. We'll hope to see him back out here again. Aiken Lamar, 094 Howard Community College 9th. And how about Jason Wallet, rounding out the top 10 for Drexel. Marlo, give us the next 10.
Finishing 11th is Grant Schiller for St. Clair. Clint Halterman brings it home 12th for UNC Charlotte. Dylan Beatty from Ball State finishing 13th. Joseph from Purdue brings it in 14th. 15th, Joshua Staley from New England College. 16th is Connor Bingle from University of Alabama, Huntsville. Garrett Greathouse brings it home 17th. Jake Cummings from Converse brings it home 18th. And then the two St. Clair cars of Zohar and Adrian bring it home 19th and 20th.
Try saying that 3 times fast. Great debut from Garrett Greathouse. Managed to keep it together. Starting to get into the used car lot side of things here. A couple of Clemson cars lead the top 20 here, or outside of the top 20. Nick Stockner and Thomas Crump for Clemson. Thomas Crump giving us such a great show earlier on. Jacob Dick for Ball State. The worst of the Ball State cars getting a crash out as well, 42 laps back. Trent University's Wyatt Burton, the one guy that could maybe bring the fight to our Muhammad Alif, brings it home in 24th. Andrew Burrell in the 121 is 25th. Carson Warrers for Paul Smith is 26th. Esteban Munoz, who had some strong running earlier in the race, also failed to finish. Ended up in 27th for FIU. Nick Henley, 28th. And Andrew Voigt for Penn State University, 29th.
Yeah, caught up in early crashes for Henley and Voigt, and that's going to round out your field, as I was not racing and Caden Hughes was unable to start. Let's go ahead and get some interviews in here. Your third place finisher, Lucas Moody, here he is, brings it in with the Buddy Holly. Lucas, first off, gotta congratulate you. I'm sorry, you were second, and I clicked the wrong person, but congratulations on P2. Yeah, how did you feel? How was your race? How'd it go for you, man?
Yeah, so just a good race for me. I've been putting a lot more work in after spring break, so it's good to see the work pay off. I've been focusing more on iRacing and less on Overwatch, and it's starting to show.
Good choice.
It's nice. Yeah, but no, it was good qualifying for me. Qualified third, right behind a Leaf, which usually qualify right behind a Leaf, you're second. But Wyatt put in a hell of a lap to put himself on pole. So I want to shout out Wyatt first, really quickly from Vortex. Good lap from him. Great lap from him. And then from there, I knew I just wanted to drive my race, be very patient the entire stint. Our plan coming into the race was the alts absolutely suck in the long run, so we want to extend those prime stints as much as possible to minimize the amount of time we have to be on the alternates. So my goal was to build a gap to the car behind, whether it be Jake or Kale, build a gap to the car behind, and then start fuel saving, extending my prime stints, and then by the end of the race, instead of having to do 20 laps in the alts, I only had to do 16. So it's those 4 laps make all the difference in the end if you have really close racing, like Kale and Jake were. So that was the plan going in, and then we were able to execute it very nicely.
Well, congratulations on that, Jackson. Do you got anything for Lucas?
No, Lucas, I mean, textbook race from you. I know it was hard for you to really bring anything to a Leaf there, but
Yeah, I'm used to it at this point, don't worry.
Yeah. Your outlook for the rest of the championship. I mean, 3 races to go, 1 oval, and then doubleheader on the oval, and then 2 natty road courses to end us off. What are the goals for the rest of the championship?
Yeah, goal is to make a comeback. 2 weeks ago, I was sitting P18 in the championship. Just been a super rough season for me. So, just keep putting the consistent races in. Take every race as it is. Take it race by race. Focus on the smaller picture before I focus on the big picture. And yeah, just keep putting in performances like this, and I should be able to climb back up to the top 10 at least.
Really, really solid drive, Lucas. We'll see you next week at Iowa.
Cool, thank you.
And Lucas, real quick before we go, anybody you want to shout out?
Shout-outs.
Yes,
Shout-outs.
Of course. Yeah, shout-outs, I believe, are just the same as they were on Monday. So of course we have to shout out my teammates that drove with me today. You have Alif and Kale, who finished off that ball state 1, 2, 3. You have our academy drivers, Nick, Dylan, and Jake, who also had phenomenal performances for them as well. Of course, you have the teammates on the oval side, the teammates on the vortex side, our sports consultant, Daniel. You have my Overwatch team, the moms, and you have my parents, my mom, my dad, my younger brother, Andrew. And last but definitely not least, Dan and BK, who run the Ball State Esports program.
And that is Lucas Moody, your P2 finisher, second rung.
Oh, did you see him?
Yeah.
All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have P1 finisher Cade Corbin joining us today.
yes!
Talk us through that race.
Listen, my goodness, good. All right, bye, Lucas. Let's put Kale Davidson. Kale, P3, congratulations. Third place here. Do you think there was anything differently you could have done strategy pace? You were up there towards the beginning. What do you feel like?
I feel like I could have probably gotten a better PC and not had 30 frames the entire race, but it still went pretty good. Strategy-wise, I knew the ults were bad, so I just kind of wanted to get them out of the way, and I didn't really want to drive on them at the end, so I just kind of did a middle stint and just kept the car on track.
Awesome. Definitely great drive there to bring it home third. Marlo, anything you want for Kale?
The only real thing of note there was that incident going into turn 1. Just wanted to get some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, actually we were just talking about that in the interview waiting room. We were looking back at it, and I mean, I don't know. It's like looking at it, it's weird because I did get kind of a heavy block, and I was down in the grass on the inside, and I was just holding my line. But I mean, if you also kind of look at Jake's trajectory, he got on the gas really quick through that corner and washed out, and I was on the brakes way after the apex of the corner. Like I could have gave him more room on the outside, but with his trajectory, I didn't necessarily think he was going to even make the corner, so then I just kind of stayed in it. And I mean, I feel like it's a close racing right there. I don't know if stewards are going to say anything about it, but I didn't make any contact and I didn't necessarily push him wide. So we'll see what comes next after that.
Fair points there. Anything you want to add in there, Jackson?
No, I mean, put it down to a Charles Leclerc racing incident. Hey, Kale, you won at Long Beach. I know you got 3 more races to go here. Talk to me about your goals for the rest of the season.
Yeah, so this race was definitely a not as prepared for kind of situation. There were a lot of different things that kind of came up. So going in, I believe we have the Iowa doubleheader next week, and I have to purchase that track. But Iowa should be a fun race. I think the biggest thing for there is I haven't used a drop week yet this season, so I feel like I'm in a decent points position. And going into the last kind of 3 races, it does give me some leniency if I do start to make mistakes by then. I feel like I've had a pretty consistent season to start, but not going to try to bank on those, but definitely going to focus on the ovals because you never know what can happen there.
Really, really great job this week. We'll see you next week, but first let's get the shout outs from you.
Yeah, I want to shout out esports director Dan and BK. You probably heard this one from Lucas as well, but all my esports teammates, so Lucas, Salif, Nick, Jake, Dylan, for putting on a good show. And then shout out my mom, my dad, my grandma, my grandpa.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. Davidson. We'll hopefully be talking to you again next week after the Iowa race, and we'll go ahead and bring race winner R. Muhammad Alif up here into the booth. We do not have Drew Williams as of right now, so we'll go ahead and get Alif up in here. R. Muhammad Alif, congratulations. Win number 5 on the season. You continue to pick them up and put them back down. How was lap traffic? I got to ask about lap traffic. It seemed pretty busy, pretty narrow. How did you navigate through all that?
It was a nightmare, but I just stayed patient, try not to put my car under risk. There was a few times where I could have been taken out, especially the one that took Wyatt out, unfortunately. I just went completely off track. I was just hoping that I didn't get taken out, and then I see Wyatt, getting taken out, and super unfortunate. But yeah, it wasn't good. I don't know why when it comes to blue flags, everyone kind of wants to fight I mean, but that's racing, I guess. So I just went around them and got with my day. So yeah.
Sweet. Marlo Jackson, anything for our race winner?
Yeah, Alif, it's Jackson Lambros here. Do you wake up every morning realizing that you're him? No, I'm kidding. In all seriousness, you've got this championship very much in your advantage now, especially after this weekend. I know Iowa and Indovals as a whole is still kind of the final frontier for you here, but what are the goals for what you want to achieve here for the remainder of the season?
Yeah, just race smart. I think that's the main thing. Race smart and bring the championship home. But yeah, today I was just super proud to first of all get the 1-2-3 as a team here in Ball State, and yeah, the goal is still to win the championship, and yeah, hopefully do well in an oval track, and maybe hopefully bring a win over there as well.
Marlo, you got anything?
Nah, nothing really much. Just a very much textbook race win. Absolutely dominant.
Thank you.
We've already gotten quite a few shout outs for Ball State, but anybody else you want to mention? Anybody else you got to commend for the win here?
Yeah, I mean, I think my teammates kind of thanked all our teammates, so yeah, big shout out to them. Big shout out to the whole Ball State esports team. I know a few of them are watching. Luke is watching, who's a Rocket League captain. Daniel Budispas, our sports psychologist, our directors and assistant directors, Dan Marino and Brendan for all their support, and our dean here in CCIM, and my family back home.
All right, well, thank you, Mr. R. Muhammad Ali, 5-time going to try to make it. I think he's got 5 more opportunities to maybe make it 10 times. So now we're going to bring in our alumni winner as well as our 5th place finisher and race director, Ricky Paz. Ricky's been up here in the booth a couple of times. He's coming up here to join. Ricky's coming up here to join Drew Williams, so we'll get both of them in the booth. Ricky and Drew up here. Drew P4, Ricky P5. Hell of a battle, guys. But Drew was able to get it done. Congratulations on the alumni win. Drew, 4th place, best finish of the season. How do you guys feel?
No, man, I feel fantastic. This was a great race all the way through. I think this really highlighted talent levels across the field. I think that the finishing order reflects very greatly the level of the pace of everyone. I think someone like myself getting 4th means I'm probably the 4th quickest driver here. Road Atlanta is the hardest track we go to. It really takes a special level of dedication to the game, to the performance, to not crash at this track. And that's something that a lot of people just missed today, is the ability to not crash.
So are you saying that without a shadow of a doubt, you are in fact a better road driver than Ricky Paz?
Better than Ricky Paz, better than Ryan Whitlock, Adam Willoughby, Clint Halterman. These people, I feel bad for them because they practice and they try so hard, and they all tell me that turning right is a complicated action. But the results show that it's not. At least not for me. I find it very easy, very relaxing.
I think there's a really good video somewhere of Drew Williams talking about how easy road racing is and then screaming approximately 2 seconds later. But look, I think it was a good race. It was an awesome race to watch from the booth, I hope, and it was an awesome race out on track. The number 19 East Carolina machine was fast. I made a few too many mistakes, and that was just on my part. But honestly, it was overall a good race. Happy to be in here with a good buddy like Drew. Good sponsors that sponsored our race, right? You should go to Petit Le Mans Road Atlanta race. I think that really happy for all those guys at UAH and Charger Motorsports that sponsored this race. Thankful that they're here. Bummer that Ryan didn't have a good race, obviously. But he ended up recovering to P6. So admins P4, P5, P6. Unfortunately, Nick Stockner, I think, got killed. So bummer for him, but the Vortex guys looked good. The OWR friend group guys looked good. So obviously a good day for the league.
Now, Ricky, I do want you to give us a shout out real quick. What is happening next weekend on this league?
Oh my goodness, I'm so glad you asked that. All right, now listen up, all right? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, turn your ears on, all right? Listen, next week is going to be the biggest week in CIL Formula College history. And that's saying a lot because we did a full-length Indy 500 this year. But listen, next week, right here, on this very YouTube channel, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern, we will be doing the Iowa doubleheader. What this format looks like is we'll have a practice session starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll do our qualifying, and then we will do 2 125-lap races that count as separate races. So next week is going to be a test for the drivers. It's going to be a test for their computers, like my computer. It's going to be a test for my computer next week. It's going to be a test for our brains, and it's going to be a test for Iowa Motor Speedway. Hopefully it doesn't fall apart. I know it just got updated, so we'll see what that looks like. But you are not going to want to miss this very, very important special event, first of its kind in CIL Formula College. And boy, are we excited to get oval racing next week.
And that's going to be one that you don't want to miss. Like Ricky said, right here on this YouTube channel. I should be there. We might be able to get Jackson up there. Jackson, really want you to be up here with us for an oval race. Fantastic stuff.
Oh, I'm not
Marlo
going
might be out there on track. But yeah, 7:45 Eastern, 6:45 Central. You're not going to want to miss that one. Fantastic stuff. Drew, you were the alumni champion, so we'll give you what you're due here. Anybody that you want to shout out before we send you out?
Of course, I just want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor, Charger Motorsports. They've been a huge presence this league, and they do some great stuff. And of course, yeah, please come to Petit Le Mans. It's a fantastic event. It's the best racing event of the year. And if you pop your head into the field at turn 5 at any point during Petit Le Mans, you'll see a group of drivers that lost to me at this track, and I will make sure they know that. Every moment, I might make a special shirt. Say, I beat Ryan Whitlock at
That would be
Petit
awesome.
Le Mans. I beat Clint. I beat everybody. They can't keep up. I think I'll maybe sitting on the turn while we're watching the race. There's some long cautions in IMSA, so maybe I'll share some of my secrets, and they can be a little bit more competitive at this track next season.
It's all right. I beat Drew Williams at a lot of CIL Cup Series races this year, so we won't talk about that. But good racing.
But yeah, huge shout out to my guys.
And that is Drew Williams finishing P4. Ricky Paz finishing P5. We'll go ahead and get him out of here. We don't need to listen
Get him
to
outta
Drew yet
here!
about how great he is anymore. Yes, Charger Motorsports. Got to give them one more shout out. Those are my guys. I am part of Charger Motorsports, so I'm kind of shouting myself out, but also a lot of other great people involved in this program. On the virtual racing side, we've got Ryan, our team lead, and then our overall president, Kyle. Shout out to those guys, and thanks to all of them for sponsoring this race. So with that one in the books, the You Should Go to Petit Le Mans Grand Prix presented by Charger Motorsports was won by Muhammad Alif and should give him about a 20-point gap in the overall standings, but little bit of a wild card next week. So those are all going to be things to pay attention to. Any closing thoughts, Jackson, Marlo?
I mean, I'll start real quick here, Marlo, but I was so sold that, the racing product on track has been so good this season, and I thought this was maybe a time where we were going to see it die down, and it did not disappoint. Battles back and forth, no matter anywhere you looked on track, but yet another dominant battle from Muhammad Alif. We'll see if he can hold on to it for the remainder of the season. We'll see what he can do. He's got 2 more chances to get a win on the oval, so just a very, very exciting road course to set the tone for the remainder of the season here.
I do just want to say thank you guys for letting me come up in the booth. Hopefully I'll be back in the car for next week, but if not, I know I always got a place to come here and just call a race with you guys.
You are always welcome up here. Great to have you guys. So we'll go ahead and give it one more shout out next week. The Iowa doubleheader that is presented by Texas A&M at something. I lost the number. But TAMUT, they've sponsored a ton of races with us this season, have a great partnership, and they will be helping us provide that race for you guys next week, same time. It's going to be fantastic. And if that's all we got, then we'll go ahead and say good night from the Formula College World Championship. I'm Cade Corbin, joined by Marlo Duncan and Jackson Lambros. Thank you all for watching, and we will see you next week.